Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take really complex crypto stuff, dense sources, and, well, we try to break it down into knowledge you can actually use. Today, we are wading deep into Web3 gaming. We're focusing on a pretty big player called SuperVerse, or Super.
That's right. And our mission today, it's pretty important actually. We're trying to cut through all the noise, the gaming NFTs, the tokens, and really understand how Superverse is trying to tackle maybe the single biggest hurdle for mass crypto adoption, which is fragmentation. We'll boil down the complex tech, the huge ambitions, into something simple and hopefully actionable for you.
Yeah, and the hook here, the reason we're really looking at this one, it's interesting. Superverse isn't just aiming to be like the best game out there. The sources suggest they want to be more like foundational infrastructure. Maybe the Switzerland or the Steam of Web3 gaming, the platform everyone else uses.
Exactly. Foundational. Hashtag tag one. The real world problem Superverse solves.
Okay, so let's start right there. What's the immediate problem, the pain point? If I'm a gamer, why is Web3 gaming kind of frustrating right now? And what is Superverse actually trying to fix?
Well, if you've ever, sunk hours into a game, grinding for that rare item, that cool skin, in today's Web3 world, often that effort feels trapped. The core issue is what our sources are calling the archipelago effect. It's extreme fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Meaning, okay, if I get this awesome sword in game A, it's completely worthless in game B, even if they supposedly run on similar tech.
Precisely. Yeah, completely worthless elsewhere. Each game has its own token, its own little walled-off economy, your assets. Locked inside that specific game, it's not just inefficient, It kind of kills that big promise of interoperability that blockchain gaming was supposed to deliver in the first place.
Right. That definitely limits the appeal. But what about bringing in the people who don't care about crypto yet? The massive audience playing like Fortnite or Roblox.
And that's problem number two. The huge barrier to entry for those, mass market gamers. Traditional players look at the crypto world, and honestly, it's confusing. Wallets, seed phrases, gas fees, swapping tokens all the time.
Yeah, it sounds like homework.
It does. It feels hostile if you just want to jump in and play. It scares off that huge audience. And we're talking massive numbers, like over 85 million daily players just on Roblox, based on what we saw. Superverse knows this. That's why they're trying to build things like their main game, Imposters, a social deduction game, to hook people with the gameplay first. Then, maybe more subtly, introduce the benefits of actually owning your assets.
Gotcha. Gameplay first, crypto second. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Focus on removing the friction. So if fragmentation is the disease, what's Superverse's cure? What's their big idea here?
Their vision is, well, simple on the surface, but huge underneath. A unified crypto gaming network. And the slogan kind of sums it up. All the best games, one token. The solution really hinges on the super token itself.
Okay, let's break that down. An analogy would be helpful here for everyone listening.
Think of the super token like a universal transit pass. Right now, in this fragmented system, switching games is like needing a whole new ticket, a new token every single time. Superverse wants Super to be that standard currency, that basic asset, providing economic compatibility across potentially dozens of different partner games. It's the layer that smooths out how value moves around.
Okay, I like the transit pass idea.
That's right.
But here's where I get a bit skeptical. If one token buys everything, how do they stop it from just watering down the unique feel, the economics of Game A versus Game B? Can one token really standardize things without making all the game economies feel, I don't know, bland?
That's a really good question. A challenge, definitely. The sources suggest it's not about replacing all the individual game tokens. It's more about creating that foundational liquidity layer, the value you hold in Super. You can use that to buy specific assets within their ecosystem, like, trading on their NFT marketplace, Gigamart, or getting boosts in Imposters. The key is that the value transfer itself benefits the whole network because it all circles back to demand for Super.
Ah, okay.
And by having over 50 partnerships already, plus their own strong products, they're trying to build that necessary network effect. More partners, more users, more demand for Super. Hashtag tag 33. How Superverse works.
Simplified steps.
Building that kind of network effect. 50 partners aiming for real interoperability.
That sounds technically really, really tough.
Kidding.
Especially gaming, right? You need super fast, cheap transactions. So how are they actually handling the tech side, the architecture right now?
Yeah, it's complex. We can think about it in maybe 3 stages of their tech journey. Stage 1 is the pragmatic approach. Today, the architecture is multi-chain, the main super token. It's an ERC20 token, which just means it follows the standard rules on the Ethereum blockchain. But, as you know, Ethereum It's slow, it's expensive for gaming transactions.
Serial.
Not at all. So strategically, they use Polygon and also the Binance Smart Chain, BSC. Why? Because those networks offer much lower fees and faster speeds. It's a practical move, really necessary, so gamers aren't getting hammered with huge gas fees all the time.
Okay, but wait. If the token exists on 3 different chains, Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, how do they stop it from just becoming 3 separate tokens, fragmenting itself?
Ah, that's the clever bit, the technical puzzle they needed to
Yeah.
solve. They use something called the Layer 0 protocol. Layer 0 essentially lets the super token move seamlessly and securely between those chains, Ethereum, Polygon, BSC. So even though it kind of lives in different digital neighborhoods, it acts like one single unified asset.
Okay, layer 0 connects the neighborhoods. Makes sense. Now, we also saw something about the black hole. That sounds dramatic. Is that their own exchange? And how does it reduce supply?
It is dramatic, yeah. It's their own proprietary decentralized exchange, the Black Hole DEX. A DEX just means trading happens peer-to-peer, no central middleman holding the funds. And the black hole has this really neat deflationary mechanism built right in. Basically, a slice of the trading fees generated on the DEX gets automatically used to buy back super tokens from the market. And then, poof, they're permanently removed from existence.
Whoa, okay, so if I understand that right, every time someone actually uses the ecosystem successfully, like trading an NFT, swapping tokens, it automatically shrinks the future supply of super.
Exactly. That's the genius of it. It directly ties ecosystem activity, actual usage, to long-term value. It creates this constant systemic pressure, reducing the supply. Successful products literally benefit everyone holding the token.
Okay, that's clever. But the final stage, that's the really big, ambitious, maybe high-stakes part of their plan, isn't it? Cutting out the middleman chains entirely.
Absolutely. Stage 3 is the future goal, developing their own custom high-performance L1 or L2 gaming blockchain. Just for context, L1s are base layers like Ethereum, L2s are scaling solutions on top. SuperVerse's ambition is to build a network specifically designed for those lightning-fast, super cheap transactions that massive gaming communities need.
That's a huge undertaking.
It is. And they're not trying to do it totally alone. They're collaborating with some big names in the industry, Polygon, Immutable, Beam. That shows a pretty serious commitment to building real infrastructure. #4. Practical benefits for the regular user.
Wow, okay, that is a massive technical roadmap.
Oh.
So let's bring it back down again, back to me, the gamer, or maybe someone just curious about this space. Why should I actually care about holding this super token? What are the real practical benefits for me?
Well, the first one is what we already touched on. Asset interoperability. You're not locked into just one game's economy anymore. Because the goal is this unified network, the value you build up can potentially move with you across their 50-plus partner games. Your digital stuff, your wealth becomes more flexible, more resilient.
Okay, flexibility is good. What about earning? I think I heard something about getting rewards paid out in a really usable currency.
Yes, earning potential through staking. That's a major incentive. If you stake your super tokens, basically locking them up to support the network, you get governance rights. You get a vote in the SuperVerse DAO, a say in how things evolve. And critically, yeah, some sources mention staking rewards are sometimes paid out in ETH, in Ethereum.
Oh, wow. ETH.
Exactly. Getting paid in ETH, which is super liquid, well-established. That's a huge draw compared to just getting more of a niche game token that might be hard to sell.
That makes a big difference. And they also seem pretty smart about integrating NFTs, right? Not just treating them like digital baseball cards.
Definitely. That's the NFT boosters idea. If you own certain rare NFTs from their collections, it's not just for showing off. It actually gives you a boost to your staking power proportional to the rarity. So it turns a collectible item into something that can actively generate revenue for you.
Interesting.
Plus, owning those NFTs often gets you access to exclusive new NFT drops or whitelists for partner games joining the ecosystem. Perks, basically.
But the real moonshot, the ultimate goal they seem to be chasing, it's bridging the gap to the mainstream, right?
That is absolutely the big play. They have the strategic partnership with something called Slingshot DAO, and through that, SuperVerse is actively working on integrating the super token into the massive Roblox ecosystem.
Roblox, seriously.
Seriously, if they can pull that off, they instantly tap into that audience we mentioned, over 85 million daily players. People who are already totally used to buying digital items, Robux, whatever. It's potentially a direct bridge from the complexities of Web3 right into one of the biggest Web2 gaming platforms, potentially bypassing a lot of that scary barrier to entry stuff.
Wow. Okay, that would be a game changer. #Tag5, risks and criticisms. That Roblox partnership, building their own chain, the ambition level is just huge. But if the potential upside is that big, we absolutely have to talk about the risks. The sources definitely highlighted some big ones. Where does the picture get a bit less rosy? What's the flip side here?
Yeah, we absolutely have to be balanced. They're operating in a super volatile, super competitive space. Let's start with the face of the project. The founder, Elliot Wainman, who goes by Elliot Trades online, he's very, very visible.
Right, which seems great for marketing, gets a lot of attention,
Yeah.
but what's the danger there?
It creates significant key person risk. Elliot Trades is fantastic at community engagement, building hype, driving excitement, but it means the project becomes really dependent on them. His reputation, his activity, if he were to step back for any reason, or, if his reputation took a hit, the project could suffer pretty badly, pretty quickly. Its main marketing engine is tied directly to one person.
That makes sense. Dependency risk. And then there's just the sheer scale of what they're trying to build, technically that custom L1, L2 blockchain.
That leads straight into execution risk. The sources we looked at didn't mince words. They called the plan colossal, high risk. Whether they succeed hinges entirely on the team's technical chops, their ability to actually deliver this incredibly complex piece of tech, especially when you've got giants like Immutable already out there with working gaming chains.
Right. It's not like they're building in a vacuum. And speaking of the tech side, for a project that is all about infrastructure, I saw a potential red flag mentioned regarding transparency.
Yes, the transparency issue. This was noted in the analysis. For something aiming to be foundational, decentralized infrastructure, there's a noticeable lack of, active public code on places like GitHub. That kind of opacity raises questions like what's the actual pace of development? How open is the process?
Yeah.
In the decentralized world, you really want to see open, auditable code. The lack of it, or perceived lack of it, is definitely concerning for some.
Okay, that's a fair point. And finally, let's tackle maybe the most confusing bit, the metrics. We saw these reports of huge adoption, like over 100,000 stakers, but then other reports saying DeFi activity is critically low. How can both be true?
Yeah, that discrepancy is telling. It really points to a potential gap between, say, market hype or investment interest and actual product usage. The source is reporting high TVL, that's total value locked, basically how much money users have put into the platform. They're likely counting all the super tokens people are staking, locking up for those ETH rewards, right?
Okay, so people are holding and staking.
Right, which shows belief in the token long term or in the founder. That's positive in a way. But the reports of critically low TVL, sometimes apparently as low as $77,000 in the DeFi pools. That suggests people aren't heavily using the core financial tools that need deep liquidity, like swapping tokens frequently on their black hole DEX.
So people are buying super, staking it for ETH rewards, but maybe not actively trading or using the DeFi parts of the ecosystem as much.
That seems to be the implication. It suggests strong confidence in the token as an investment, maybe driven by the founder's influence, but weaker traction for the core, self-sustaining financial infrastructure that's supposed to tie everything together. That utility gap, plus the pressure from huge competitors like Gala Games, the Sandbox, it definitely makes it a high-stakes game for SuperVerse. #tag6. Summary and final thoughts.
Okay, let's try and wrap this all up then. If you had to boil SuperVerse down to just one or two sentences for someone listening, what's the absolute key takeaway?
Let's see. SuperVerse is basically a really ambitious Web3 gaming aggregator. It's trying to link up dozens of partner games, plus its own core products like the Imposters game and the Black Hole DX, all under one universal token, Super. The big goal, to build that foundational plumbing, the infrastructure for interconnected digital game worlds.
Ambitious is definitely the word. And what's the single biggest insight from the sources that maybe tells us something important about its potential right now?
I think the most crucial thing, fundamentally, is about its financial structure maturing. The vesting schedules, when early investors and the team get their tokens unlocked, those finished up in 2024. That's huge because it removes a massive source of future selling pressure. From here on out, the token's price should, in theory, be driven mainly by real demand. Demand from successful products, good partnerships, actual usage, not just by supply inflation from cheap, newly unlocked tokens flooding the market. The pressure is now on utility and adoption to drive value.
That makes sense. The training wheels are off, so to speak.
Exactly. This is probably a good point to quickly pause and just remind our listeners of something.
That's right. If you're enjoying how we're trying to break down these complex projects into, simpler pieces, and you want more reviews like this one, definitely make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We do all the deep digging so you don't have to. Okay, thank you for walking us through the maze that is SuperVerse today. It really feels like a project where technical execution is absolutely everything.
It really is. And maybe just one final thought to leave you with, something to chew on. The SuperVerse team, apparently, voluntarily decided to keep about 400 million Super tokens that were already unlocked and designated for founders and development off the market to show commitment, good faith. But it raises that fundamental question, especially when we're talking about decentralized infrastructure. How much do you rely on the good work, the self-imposed trust of a charismatic founder, versus how much do you demand immutable, transparent code that you can see and verify on an open ledger? Where do you place your trust? That's really the core question for almost all Web3 projects, isn't it?
A very important question indeed. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.